Welcome to Meg Talks, the Move with Meg podcast. I'm Megan Kerrigan, and I will be sharing ideas on how you can become a more consistent and confident dancer that understands your body and mind. Hi, and welcome back to Meg Talks, the podcast where we talk all things Irish dance, from movement to mindset, from past experiences to interviews. I was going to say invitation. So today we have part 7 of our Mindset Matters, where myself and Annabelle dive into the mindset side of Irish dancing, whether it's giving advice to parents, dancers, helping you prepare for competitions, loads of things. We've had all the topics. So we like hearing from you guys. We get our inspiration from the questions that you ask in our DMs, conversations that we have in our mindset sessions, in our movement sessions, in our one-to-ones, conversations that I had in our community space in the Gold Club. So you inspire us always for these conversations. And today we're going to be talking about creating and coming up with your mindset master plan for the World's 2025. Welcome, Annabelle.
Hey, how are you?
It's mad. It's almost like so soon now. I think it's so funny when I think about 9 weeks away. But I think it's about just over 9 weeks away, depending on when you're dancing. When I think about that, if it was like a holiday or something, I'd feel like it was really far away. But I think because when I look at my diary, it's like everything lines up with, okay, All Islands, or going to this, or going to that. And when our things are in the world sprint, I'm like, this world is going to be here in no time. And
It literally is going to sprint towards us.
yeah, and that is it. That's it. So, and the nice thing is all of the world championships, or not all of them, they pretty much all are within
Pretty
this
much.
window. So it's really nice because we can speak to all of the organisations. So that's what I'm enjoying about this little run up. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about creating your mindset master plan. And when this goes out, it's going to be just after the All Islands.
Yep.
That feels weird because we'll have been to Killarney, we'll have been at the CLRG All Islands. If you are a different organisation, this part might not apply to you, but don't turn it off because the things a little bit later will definitely apply to you.
Stay with us.
Stay with us. Fast forward if you need to, but the information that you're going to get might apply to you and other competitions that you do in the run-up anyway. So thinking about All Islands then, obviously it's a qualifying event. So some dancers might have just qualified for the first time. Some dancers might have been like really not able to qualify at other events for various reasons and been trying to qualify. So some dancers may have been disappointed that they didn't or that they did. And then obviously other dancers that are also attending the Worlds might have had a great result that they're on a high from, might have had a disappointing result that they're going to have to try to come back from. So from a mindset perspective, what would your advice to be to sort of like all of those dancers, basically, with all of those outcomes in mind?
Yeah, so dancers who have only just qualified for the World Championships, first of all, congratulations. That's a really, really big achievement. To qualify as secondary qualifier especially is, a massive achievement. You should be really proud of yourselves. I know lots of people in this situation often feel delighted and then they go into panic mode to be like, oh my goodness, like I've only got 9 weeks. But the fact the judges at the All Islands have put you in that position in the first place tells me that you're pretty well prepared actually as it is.
Yeah.
You're probably more prepared than you think you are. And those dancers that have been aiming for a secondary qualifier spot and didn't already have a world spot until last week, like you probably wouldn't have been training that much differently than those actually going to the Worlds anyway.
Yeah.
You still will have been doing lots of falls at dance class preparing for the All Island. You still will have been working on your technique. You hopefully still will have been working on your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's just about, you've achieved this goal. Now we just need to extend that for the next however many weeks it is now until the Worlds when this goes out. But you actually probably are more prepared than you think you are, because you wouldn't have got the secondary qualifier spot without it.
Yeah.
So we know you're dancing well. We know your fitness is good. We know you're doing all the things. Now you just need to continue it on rather than swapping your dancers over. And mums and dads need to maybe book hotel rooms and flights It's probably more stressful for mums and dads, to be
Mums
fair.
and dads are trying to clamber together some money to get themselves to Dublin.
Yeah, it's probably more
Yeah.
stressful for parents, actually, from that point of view than it actually should be for the dancer. And yeah, you stay with the excitement of actually getting the qualifying spot and the belief that you do deserve to be there, because lots of things could have happened at the end of the year that could have stopped you qualifying at your local one. There's lots, as Meg knows, lots of sicknesses go around, injuries and all that jazz. You might not have been working at your mindset, and you've now spent 3 months doing that, and now it's so much better that you've seen the impact. So yeah, stay with the excitement. You probably are more prepared than you think you are.
Yeah. I love the idea of, like, definitely I can see this happening, like the excitement on the day, and then you get back to class and the panic sets in. It's like, "Oh, no, I'm not ready. I don't wanna do this." All that, like, scared, feeling comes into it. But it is that, like, bringing the logic to that, reminding yourself you qualified at an event that is bigger than, if we think about entries, the World Championships. It's a similar sized stage. It's a similar sized event. So,
Yeah.
essentially, you've already done it and you qualified there. So that means that you are ready for the World Championships. Now it's just the final touches and preparing that mindset. So, like, bringing the logic to it and bringing yourself back down rather than letting the mind run ahead. Bring yourself back to the
Exactly.
present and remind yourself of where you are right now. Love
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Not spiraling. Like,
Yeah.
you're fine. You're ready. Like, and it's really exciting to go to the World. So let's focus on that.
Yeah.
Like, focus on this is what you wanted 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You wanted to qualify. You got it. Now we don't need to go into panic mode.
I
Now
think
we
you
don't need to don't need to be stressed about getting what you want.
I think the amount of times that you have to remind dancers of that, like, especially when sort of nerves and overwhelm set in, it's like, remember how long you've worked for this. Remember how long you've dreamed of having this. Remember how long you've wanted it. And now you're thinking, oh, I really don't, I wish I wasn't here almost. It's
Yeah.
to
The
remind you.
amount of times I have to have this conversation year on year, just before the Worlds, when dancers sit in front of me and they're like, I'm petrified, I can't do this, I don't want to go, like, I wish I'd never qualified. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. 6 months ago, you sat in front of me almost crying, talking about how much you wanted to go to the Worlds and how much you wanted to qualify.
Yeah.
You've now done it. It's like, I always compare it to, imagine winning a holiday in a competition and
Mhm.
then getting to the day of the flight and being like, oh no, I don't want to go on this holiday anymore. Or like winning the lottery and say, oh no, thank you, you could have your money back.
Yeah.
Like, you would never do it. This was what you wanted.
It's when those nerves kick in, isn't it? I always compare it to, like, anything I've ever done that was, like, really, really worth it in the end and was great afterwards. I've felt that horrible sense of, like, scared feeling. I remember getting a job from the guy that owns Magic of the Dance. He asked me to be a tour manager and manage an orchestra of, like, 60 people and go and manage this tour. Bearing in mind, everyone speaks German. The orchestra were Russian. And I said yes, and I was all cocky about it, thinking I was fantastic. "Oh, I've got this job, I'm gonna be this tour manager," and I sat on the plane, and I had that overwhelming feeling, "I don't wanna go. Actually, I might just get off the plane. Why am I doing this? I don't have to do this. No, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore."
I changed my mind.
And after I was in the experience for, like, 5 minutes, I was fine.
Yeah.
So, like, it's pushing through that, and it was one of the best experiences I've ever had because I learned so much about me. I got to do something I would never have done before. I got to tour with an orchestra, which was insane. I got to sit and watch the show every day. I learned about that world. So, like, it was worth it after the horrible little feeling at the start. That feeling means that the thing is worth it. That feeling means that you care. That feeling means that you want it to go well. And I think when you tie those together rather than just every single thought through your mind isn't the truth, is it?
No,
So
definitely not.
when you know that and you bring the logic to it again, that will help. Anyway, I've divulged again because I always do.
That's all right. I bet watching the orchestra was amazing every night.
Oh, it was so cool. It was really good. And it's mad how, like, something like that, it just becomes the norm then, and you're just like, "Oh, I've seen it all before." Well,
Yeah.
like, it's weird, isn't it? When it's so good, you're like, I used to watch every night and I'd find something new to see. You should
Yeah.
have seen me. I thought it was the bee's knees. I was sat in, like, the sound box with my headphones on and my microphone, giving lighting cues. Didn't even speak German, so I didn't even know. Another guy had to translate what I was saying. I didn't even know the show, so I don't know how I was even supposed to give lighting cues off this German sheet. But anyway, here I am to tell the story.
She's lived to tell the tale. Didn't speak German, didn't speak Russian, and yet she survived.
Yeah, here we are.
And you don't need to speak a foreign language to go up and dance a heavy jig at the Worlds.
Exactly.
So we're all okay.
That's if you've qualified. Now, what about if you've had a disappointing result and you are going to the Worlds? How would you advise?
Had a disappointing result and you are going to the World Championships. First of all, take our advice from a podcast a while ago where we said make sure you take some time to actually process the event rather than just coming home and being like, bang, bang, bang. Because if you're anything like me, you will have come home and be like, right, that's it. I'm going to practice 15 hours a day and I'm going to get up and do 4 hours before school and 3 hours of stretching. And you get really like determined that this is never going to happen again, but do all the complete wrong things.
Yeah.
Please don't do an Annabelle. Please learn from me. Please take some time.
I'll link that podcast below.
Yeah.
So it's easier for everyone to find. It's how to deal with disappointing results.
Yeah. So take some, actually perfect. Yeah. So actually after this one, go and listen to that one. And then process. So yeah, process, analyze what worked well, what didn't work well. Why do you think maybe there was a disappointing result? Was it a dancing thing? Was it a mindset thing? Was it you feel like you danced really well and you performed really well, but the judges just didn't like it that day? Was there stuff we can learn from? Well, remember the stuff that you did really well as well. Like there will always be stuff you did really well in the process. But also remember, these judges won't be judging the world in a few weeks' time. And I've come to not the realization, because I kind of already known it, but the phrase of saying all the result is that judge's opinion of what they saw on that day. That's all the result can tell us.
It doesn't tell us substantial, isn't it? It's not you as a dancer overall. It's literally that judge, what they thought of you on that day. Now, so many things can impact that. It's actually crazy.
Yeah, dancers. This was because so many dancers were getting so stressed about their first feis of the year, and how, like, as if the first feis was going to dictate how the year went.
Yeah,
and I was like, that just tells us what that one person or them 5 people thought of you on that day. Like, could you have danced tomorrow and danced differently, and the judge have a different opinion? Yes. Could we have swapped judges out and had you dance the same and it'd be a different result? Yes.
Yeah.
Like, it just tells us that one person's opinion of you on one day.
Yeah,
and we've got like, weeks until the world, depending on when you dance, when your world championships is. We've still got weeks to go. You can make big improvements in small amount of time, working smartly. You work in the right way. You can make massive improvements in a short amount of time. So you're going to be a better dancer by the time you get to the world. Hopefully you'll be working
into our podcast. You can have a better mindset.
I was going to say, hopefully you're going to have a better mindset. If you work on it before the world, and it's also not going to be the same judges and you won't be the same dancer.
Yeah.
So don't let that impact how you go into the world or think that the world is now going to be bad because the All Irelands has been bad.
Yeah.
The
other thing is, if let's say if it was that you didn't dance your best, then like think about dance classes. You don't dance at dance class every single time you go there exactly the same.
You don't dance in the single dance class exactly the same. You can get up and dance that dance and 10 minutes later do it again and go, what on earth has happened to my legs in 10 minutes? That was not the same dancer.
That 30% rule. 30% of the time you are on top of your game. 30% of the time you're all right. 30% of the time you're having a bad day.
Yeah.
The All Irelands might just have been one of those 30% days. That's all right. Let's just try to do all the things that we can and have within our control to make the World's Dance Day one of the we're on our top form 30%.
Yeah. What can we learn from it? And being honest with yourself as well. I know
That's
sometimes it can be easy to go, well, the judge didn't like me.
Yeah.
But actually, it might be that if you were really honest, was that our best dance day? Or was that our best preparation? Or was that our best warm-up? Pardon?
It's taking the responsibility too. I think it's easy and it feels better to say it was my shoes, or the floor was slippy, or the judge didn't like me, or I was on that with that girl, or X, Y, and Z, or that boy. But take responsibility, because when you do, that's what champions do. They take responsibility because the thing that you can take responsibility for is the thing that you can change and adapt. And that's going to make you feel more controlled. more confident, have more self-belief, and the next time you'll feel better. So yes, it will make you actually physically be better because you've taken responsibility and changed something, but actually your mindset will be so much more because you'll feel like you've done something to be better too. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It might be uncomfortable at the time, but that small bit of uncomfortableness is worth it in the long run.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, and then what about if you've had a really great result? So what about if you're on top of the world right now, literally after the All Islands, you did way better than you ever expected, than you ever dreamed of. How do we now make sure that we carry that forwards and still be on that sort of high, I suppose, at the World Championships in a few weeks?
Yeah, so if you've had a really good All Islands, well done, first of all. Pat on the back, gold star. You've obviously prepared really well, trained really hard, performed on the day.
Yeah.
Good job.
It went well.
Yeah, the day went well. It's what we all, hope for at the end of the day. So, really good job, brilliant. What's important now is to not be like, oh, well, yeah, world smashed it. I'm resting our laurels a little bit. We need to go back to, because obviously what you did for the All Island prepared you really well. So what you were doing was all the right stuff. So we want to make sure we're still keeping that consistency over the next few weeks. Don't be concerned if there's a slight little dip in maybe our performance or stamina, but then that will drive them back up again perfectly in time for the Worlds. You're probably not going to be able to maintain the same level of your top 30% for the next 4 weeks, because that's impossible. So don't worry if you feel like 2 weeks after the All Islands, warm not dancing as well as that. That's okay. You're not going to be in your top 30%.
Yeah.
The whole of the next, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, however many weeks it is.
6, 7.
7 weeks is it in between this coming out. It's hard when it's come out in a few weeks time.
Yeah.
To count how many it is. So yeah, you're not going to stay in your top 30%. That's okay. That's normal. That's because you're a human being and not a robot. So don't worry about that. And stay with your consistency. Being consistent as possible is definitely probably the way to do it. So evidently what you were doing for the All Islands works well for you.
Yeah. And just don't get overexcited. Just as much as we don't want to wallow in the disappointment, we also don't want to stay in that heightened, because often focus goes if we're excited. So many things can distract us from what we actually need to be doing. That, yes, enjoy the moment, yes, enjoy the excitement, but then refocus, bring yourself back and get yourself back in line.
Yeah, because when we get too excited or too overly confident, we can be like, well, I'll just skip that stretch today. Or I'll just forget my water bottle at school today. Doesn't matter, because I've smashed the All Island. So and we can get a little bit overconfident or even self-sabotagey.
Yeah.
Which is another way to look at it.
And the self-sabotage comes with that little bit of oh, now people are going to expect the same from me in a couple of weeks or at the World Championships. And it's almost like finding yourself some excuses as to why it might not go as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It was almost like a bit of a shock result for you.
Yeah, so, that's normally the case. That's normally when we say self-sabotage or imposter syndrome and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if it is a massive shock result for you, the judges have only given you them marks because they enjoyed your dancing on the day, and hopefully, you enjoyed your dancing on the day as well.
Yeah, and it comes back to what we said before. That was those judges on that day, whatever those circumstances led to you being dancing that way. All of that is going to be slightly different. We've got to just do the things within our control, take responsibility for the things within our control, and line those up as well as we can to try to be that top 30% again. I suppose it's the same advice, isn't it? It's just in a different way. It's bringing you back from the top and bringing you back from feeling down here
in the middle
into the middle and equalizing and balancing that out.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Moving on then, I want to talk a little bit just about some things that you can be doing right now. So let's say we're 7-8 weeks out. So things you can be doing now in dance class, and 3 things you should be doing now at Feis in the run up. To really align that mindset to be ready, because mindset isn't just thinking and being in the zone on the day. I think lots of dancers, we're getting rid of that sort of idea now a lot more, and lots of dancers are aware that mindset is a consistent thing that they need to be working on. But let's make that really, really clear for dancers. What if I was to ask you just 3 things that you should be doing now in class and practice in the 8 weeks before the Worlds, what would they be?
Yeah, if we look at like class or like time at home, like practice at home and things like that, I definitely recommend goal setting. I always recommend goal setting, specifically for the Worlds, but also set yourself a goal for either each week or each dance class. It just keeps that one. It keeps you accountable, especially if you have to get back in the car and tell mum whether you've done it or not.
Yeah.
Or you have I like either a dance class or a week. I like a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Because it keeps you focused week on week.
Yeah.
As we're getting a little bit closer, it gives you focus for each week and constantly progressing.
Yeah.
Also helps with your confidence. But also then sitting down and doing goal setting for the actual World Championships, which I'll be running through on our World Sprint as well. And I do different goal setting than we do in our monthly goal club. So we do a bit of visualization goal setting as well.
Yeah.
Which we find works fantastically. 8 weeks out is probably the perfect time to do it, 8 to 6 weeks before the event.
Yours is your goal setting in the World Sprint package is Thursday the 13th of March.
Lovely stuff.
6 p.m.
6 o'clock, isn't it? Yeah.
On Zoom. If you can't make it live and you're in the World Sprint, you get access to the video straight away, so you can do it in your own time. But if you want to go through that goal setting with Annabelle and really, really go through and specifically target the World Championships and what you should be doing in those last few weeks, and that's like 5-6 weeks out there, that's really great to join. I will pop the link for the World Sprint in the show notes, but sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, it's alright. And if you're in the Gold Club already, it's just the add-on, isn't it?
Add-on, yeah.
So there'll be 2 links in there if you're in the Gold Club or if you're not in the Gold Club.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a big goal setting and then smaller goals for each week to keep you accountable.
Yeah.
Definitely look at how much rest you're getting. And making sure that your whether weekly or monthly practice, workout, dance schedule is allowing for enough rest. Don't do me at London Worlds, who ended up sick just before the event.
Yeah.
From overworking. So make sure you're getting enough rest. And it might be that even parents, especially with younger dancers, or dancers who maybe are prone to overworking, might need to help with that and just assess as well from an adult's point of view, like, are they getting enough rest kind of thing?
Yeah.
And making sure that when you're in dance class, you're going into dance class with the right attitude and with the right mindset. And going to dance class almost as if, like, at the end of this class, I could be 1% better than I am 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
And it might be one tiny little thing. It might be that treble section in my jig now has better cross. But if you can come out of dance class each time, even if it wasn't your best dance class in the world, even if you got up and you thought, oh, my stamina was really bad today, or, because I'm tired, or this or that, it wasn't our best dance class, because that happens to everyone.
Yeah.
Still finding or having one thing that you're like, but I really worked on that, and I do actually think it is a little bit better.
Yeah.
So that you can see constant improvement. And then you can look back and videoing yourself. We spoke about this when I was at your house the other day on Monday.
Yeah.
But videoing yourself is really, really, really important, because you can make big differences if you keep doing these weekly goals to hit and focusing on each dance class and making something 1% better.
Yeah.
Then you can look back at the videos you've got now, and by the time you get to the Worlds in like 8 weeks' time, you'll go,
self-belief is
oh my goodness. Yeah, like I thought that was amazing. And it was still pretty good, but like it's much better now.
Yeah.
Because our brains can play tricks on us in that last little week leading up to things and make us feel like we're not as prepared as we maybe are.
And that, I suppose, comes into the World Sprint as well. With that, you also get the WhatsApp dance assessment. So you send me videos of you dancing on WhatsApp, and I will tell you exactly the key things that you need to be doing within the Goal Club. So help you with targeting those key corrections that you've got, so that you know that what you're doing is targeting the right thing. And then we'll get videos again right before, or you can use those videos actually at the World. I mean, it's great to do it just before, because it gives you that self-belief and that confidence. But the difference that we saw like last year from dancers, they loved that the most. They said like that was like the key thing that they loved the most, because it gave them that, like, they saw the difference. Like, there's one thing, yes, working in class and feeling a bit better, but do we actually know? I never knew how I actually was dancing. Did you?
I knew if it was good or bad.
See, I didn't. I never knew. I just put my effort in, and then sometimes it came out good and sometimes it didn't. Like, genuinely, and I talk about this quite a lot. Like, if I came down and my teacher said, "What did you think?" And I said, "I think it was really good." Oh, it was often the opposite. And then if I didn't really know and I was a bit like, "I'm not sure," they'd be like, "No, that was really good." So, like, I think sometimes we don't have a
Interesting.
very clear understanding of how our input comes out.
Yeah.
So I think having that video evidence to show yourself is something that can really, really help with self-belief and confidence on the day.
Yeah, evidence is one of the best. The more evidence you can gather of improvement is the best way to combat all them doubts in your head and all the times the brain tries to play tricks on you.
Yeah.
Being like, oh yeah, well, I remember my kick being that high.
Yeah.
Isn't very good evidence. We need the pictures. This is why we're always saying in the challenges and all that we need pictures and videos
Yeah.
sent into us. Because the more you do that, the better you will be able to combat any doubts and that leading up to whether it's the Worlds, whether it's a major, whether it's a small fash.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And that's where I always do those before and after photos with my weekly clients. When we're really focusing on one specific correction, because seeing that progress each week, number one, helps them to actually keep doing it. But number two, then they've got the evidence. Like I say, I always get those dancers to save those, put them in a folder in their phone, so that the last thing they do before they walk upside stage is swipe through the difference that they've made in the last 4 weeks or since their last fresh, or let's say from now until the Worlds. If you keep taking your before and after photos, using the Gold Club, using our turnout challenge, using whatever challenge it is that you need to work on specifically, and you've got that evidence to swipe through in your phone, the last thing you're going to see is how much progress you've made. Are you going to feel more confident or less walking up? Like, it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Exactly. And
Why
you can't argue with pictures.
why would you not do it?
Like your brain can't argue back with the evidence that's literally in front of you. It can argue back with you go, well, I remember my kick being that high and now I think it's higher. Like it can argue back with that. You can find ways around that. And your brain is powerful. It will find ways around it. I know it's not helpful for us, but the brain doesn't really care.
No.
Its job is to keep you safe
Yeah.
and to make sure you grow up to be old ladies and old men in the future. Like that's its main job. It doesn't care whether you get up and dance a good set dance or not.
Yeah.
So we have to have evidence that you can't argue back with and you can't argue back with a picture.
Yeah.
Like literally in front of you. There's no arguing back with that.
Yeah.
At all. So
Sorry, go on.
no, go on.
Dancers that I know that I've worked with that do this say it's a game changer. So if there's one thing you take away, start collecting your evidence, start your album in your phone or in mom's phone and start putting it in there now. That on that day, you can swipe through, you can prove to yourself that you deserve to be up there, that you have done the work to be up there, that you are proud of the work that you've done, that you are proud of the dancer that you are. So you walk on that stage, you dance your best, you feel confident, and you actually enjoy it, because when it comes down to it, we do dancing because we love it, not because
Yeah.
we want to feel nervous, not because we want everyone looking at us and the things that we feel like people are doing. And I'm doing little quotation mark thingies, what they called.
Air quote.
Yeah, that's it. Hair quotes.
Bunny ears.
An
Dunno.
American. But yeah, not because of all those other things, because we love it. That's why we started in the first place and keep doing it.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And what I love about the pictures and videos is you're not reliant on anyone else. You're not relying on your teacher giving you a compliment. You're not relying on mum saying that was better. We're not relying on anyone else. It's just down to you. And you wouldn't have made improvements unless you'd worked hard. Because if you didn't do your stretches consistently, or if you didn't do any homework Meg gives you consistently, or if you didn't do your Gold Club classes, you wouldn't see improvements. Your legs won't just change, or your mobility doesn't just change just because a week's passed unless you've done something in that week. So it's all down to you and your hard work. And that's another thing I love about that as well, is it's just down to you and you can be really proud of yourself and not rely on anyone else for it.
it's within your control. Yeah, it's within your control. You're taking responsibility for it and you're seeing the progress, and then you're using it to
Yeah,
make you
we're
feel
very
more
passionate
confident and
about
dance better
responsible
on the day.
dancers, aren't
Love
we?
it. Yes, I love a responsible dancer. Talking of responsible dancers, I just want to touch upon, because this popped up in my mind while we were having that conversation. I've got a lot of dancers now in my one-to-ones that are that age where they're either doing like A levels or they're in like finals in the
Even
US.
sex and all
It's
that.
a very hard age to know, to know when so what I've been doing with them to know when to focus on what, basically. So Irish dancers, you're all high achievers. That's why you are where you are. That's why you are listening to this, because you're already a high achiever. You want to do your best in every single thing. That is like, I would happily, if there was evidence, if there was a scientific study about that, I would happily put my whole life on the line for that statement just made. I believe it. Irish dancers at this level are just high achievers in everything they do. So I know you want to do your best at school, and I know you still want to do your best at the Worlds, right? Now, what we need to do is, this is something you've not experienced in a preparation for a World Championships before. So what you need to do is, number one, remember it's the first time. Don't beat yourself up if you don't get it right all of the time in this prep. It's different. Number two, focus each week depending on, and this is what I've been doing with my one-to-one dancers in this sort of like period, is, okay, what's the balance this week? Have you got tests? Have you got any exams at school? How much homework have you got? Is the balance 60 for school and 40 for dancing this week? Is it 70-30? What is it? Where should it be? Where do you want it to be? We're 2 weeks out from the All Islands as I'm speaking right now. Obviously, when this goes out is afterwards. But a conversation I had this week is like, right, okay, so now we need to start switching that focus a little bit more. And in this next week, we need to go a little bit more dancing, making sure you're still getting the minimum basically done for your schoolwork. And then you'll have to pull it back afterwards and drop the dancing a little bit. So it's all about just playing with those weighing scales. And like I say, you're not always going to get it right. Sorry,
and that's where one
bad.
working smart comes in, because you always say, you don't always need a lot of time. If you think you can make big changes in just doing a half an hour practice session, if you do it smartly, you don't need hours and hours and hours. I've got a dancer, bless her, at the moment. It's come really bad time at full right. So obviously the All Islands in 2 weeks. And for the next 2 weeks, she has 2 weeks of big exams all the way up until next Friday. And then the All Island starts on the Sunday. Obviously from her age, she's an older dancer, so she doesn't dance till the following Wednesday or Thursday. But she travels to dance class as well, which is also another added element. She's lucky enough that her teachers offered her Zoom classes, so she doesn't have to travel and she can do some Zoom sessions at home, which has helped her a lot. So we've been having this conversation as well, and I know this is definitely something that always comes up around qualifying time at the end of the year and also in the summer. I used to be convinced that CLRG and like the university board got together and planned big competitions around big exams. I was almost convinced that they were having secret meetings somewhere, because it did always used to fall right at the same time. But I've got to say that it can be really difficult, and it is about, doing exactly what you've just said and looking at it week by week and not beating yourself up for whatever decision has to be made that week, because those things are very important. But the more you understand yourself as well, the better. Like the more you understand what's the best way for you to revise, the better, because then you're not wasting time maybe revising in a way that doesn't suit you just because someone else does it. Just like dancing, understanding yourself and your schoolwork as well is important.
Yeah. And I think that's another key one for parents. Although those dancers are older, I think, and they are probably way more responsible than younger dancers, they are probably quite independent right now because they're an Irish dancer. Another thing that I would say comes along with it. I think it's also a great conversation to have, like to share that, okay, this week I feel like I'm a bit 60-40, but I really want to be at 50-50. Like, what do you think I could do? Like having those conversations. The dancers I'm working with have the luxury of having that with me. Some dancers don't have that luxury. Maybe it's a conversation that could be had with parents, that could be had with other dancers that their age, that could be had with their teacher. But like having that conversation and openly speaking about it helps, because otherwise it just builds up and builds up, and then neither goes well. And we want to make
and
sure
it might just be little things parents can do, like when I was going to uni, like doing my own meal prep and all that was all down to me. Well, if that would have taken half an hour time, if my mum had, made my salads for the week or something to take to uni, it could just be little things like that. It could be that they just need a supportive ear. It could be that sometimes they need to actually be told to put the books away. Because it's 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night and they've got to wake up early tomorrow. Sometimes it's about, if you know their boundary maybe more than they do, and maybe just being a sounding board. It depends on what that dancer needs, but without that conversation, you're not going to know.
How do you know? Yeah, exactly. So there's some things you can be doing before in practice and in dance class. And I suppose we sort of got a little bit excited and got outside of that. But what about 3 things that you can be doing in feshes now in the run up to the World Championships? If you've got a couple of local feshes, or if you've got some class feshes, or like a practice run, what
There's normally
could you be
quite a
doing
lot of
for your
feshes,
mindset at
at
those?
this time of year, and quite a lot of dance schools do have like mini practice for Worlds and dress rehearsals and all that jazz. So definitely, and we spoke about it on our, not the last Mindset Matters, the one before, so number 5 is about learning from each local fesh and, using your local feshes to actually hone in what you need to do. Preparation, mindset, physical, emotional preparation for the big ones. Don't just wait for the big competitions to think about these. This is something we can be learning on a regular basis, and in class feshes and in, dress rehearsals. You don't even have to necessarily always wait until you go to the actual fesh. So definitely learning from each one. Yeah, because if you learned 1 or 2 things on each one, you'd know 6 or 7 things maybe before 5, 4, 3 things. Even if it's 1 or 2 things you've learned, it's still better and more knowledge than you had before.
Yeah. And so within the World Sprint as well, you also get access to our fesh tracker, which has got like a little video walkthrough that I explain this to you and how to use it. But it's basically a printout sheet. You can print a few of these out, depending on how many feshes you've got for going to the Worlds. Fill it out afterwards, because there's one thing having the conversation, but in 2 weeks' time, all you're going to remember about that fesh, and when I ask dancers, okay, tell me how you got on at that fesh 2 weeks ago, they just remember their place. They don't remember how their warm-up went. They don't remember that they were actually late and in a rush and that impacted their first round. What they do remember is the placement, and the placement does not actually tell us anything or give us any evidence of anything. So this fesh tracker is another way to actually give yourself the evidence of what works, what doesn't work for you on fesh day, so that you can turn up at the Worlds with the most honed in, perfect fesh formula, as Annabelle calls it, so that you know exactly what you've got to be doing, what has worked for you in the run-up, and how you're going to pull out your best.
Yeah, exactly. And it is handy to have them all in a folder, to be fair. That'd be really beneficial looking at the end of the year as well, going through the whole year and seeing what you've learned and go, oh my goodness, remember when I used to do that?
Love me a stat. Love me some.
Love a stat. Like, remember when I used to just do like a few jumping jacks and call that a warm up?
Yeah.
Like, now I know so much more.
Right.
And so that's a nice little one as well to just follow throughout the year, like post Worlds. Go ahead with keep printing them out. Your mum and dad will probably hate us, but all the ink they're going to use. Well, sorry.
You can get it out on your phone as well, but yeah.
It's a small price to pay.
Yes.
So I'd definitely say that a big thing, we had a conversation about this in Thursday Morning Mindset last week. So it'll be a few weeks when this goes out, was communicate with your fesh team, your own personal fesh team, whoever that is. Normally, from the answers we were given the other day, normally teacher, mum, sometimes dad, sometimes grandma.
Yeah.
Siblings. Yeah, we had 3 sets of siblings on Thursday Mindset the other day, and they all said each other, which was quite cute.
Yeah.
But we were talking about when have we had good fesh team days, and when have we not had good fesh team days, and what made them so. So one of the examples was we were really rushed for the fesh. So then mum was stressed, so she was shouting at me. I was stressed, and then my lace broke, and then all these things happened, and I was like, right, so it's really important for your fesh team then that you arrive early.
Yeah.
Really important. Maybe you even have to leave half an hour earlier for the fesh. If it's that important for your fesh team, then
that's what you've got to do.
It's worth doing it. So really, and we have another dancer who said, if my first dance doesn't go well, she finds it really like difficult. And I was like, well, what do you want your fesh team to do? Do you want them to leave you alone? Do you want them to go, right, okay, we're going to draw a line under that. What can we do for our next dance? Do you want to have a notebook and pen you want to write in? Do you want to, what is it you want them to do in that situation? And I was like,
know.
If they don't know, they might do what they think is right, but it might not be right for you.
Yeah.
And, then mums and dad, that's where people end up going, well, I'm only trying to help.
I know, yeah.
And then everyone ends up and it just ends up in a big explosion. And I was like, equally, ask your sister the same thing. Because your answer might not be the same answer as your sister. So mum also needs to know what to do for each individual person.
Yeah.
And you need to know what to do for each other.
Yeah.
So that's probably another big thing. Because I think if you have a happy fesh team, it makes the whole day happier.
Yeah. And again, brings it back to that like enjoyment. We do this because we love it and we want to keep bringing it back to that, don't we?
Yeah, and like having fun. And that's probably the last thing is like using each fesh to actually put the enjoyment back into dancing. I think each fesh, as we get closer to the worlds, tends to feel more and more important. And each dance, dancers put a lot of pressure on themselves. Like this dance has to be amazing because the world is in 2 weeks, or I have to be on the podium this week. And we end up putting so much pressure on small feshes that are normally, if you're in England, can be in gruffy school venues.
Yeah.
Like the scariest thing about the fesh is you're in a school venue on a Sunday. Like that's the scariest thing about the fesh. Bring some fun and enjoyment back into it. The fun, dancers having fun, dancers that are enjoying themselves dance so much better than dancers that are stressed.
Yeah. 100%.
100%. And this fesh, this local fesh, yeah, 100%. You can feel it, the energy oozing off them. Whether that's a nervous energy or whether that's someone having a time of life.
Yeah.
And I think, what's the difference between, okay, this fesh 7 days before the Worlds and the fesh in May?
Yeah, nothing.
They're both still local feshes. But we tend to put so much more pressure on these ones just before the Worlds.
Yeah.
You actually take the pressure off your shoulders. You're more likely to dance well. You're more likely to have fun. More likely to be a better memory and a better experience.
100%, yeah.
It's not linked to how you're going to dance at the World anyway. Take the pressure off yourself and put the fun back into it.
Yeah, 100%. And that links, and I speak about this quite a lot because it's something I've really realised in my sort of high rocks journey with Shiv. We always do our best times. Like most recently, we just got our best time. I'm still dying with the head cold. That was like 2 weeks ago. I had that horrible head cold where I was running around actually blowing my nose during the event. Like, breathe, and she had bad knees and we got our best time. But I think and then the time before that we got like our best ever time was when I genuinely thought we were going to have to pull out halfway through because Shiv was very injured and probably shouldn't have been doing it. So all the way around, I was going, what number are you at now in terms of like pain? If we get past an 8, we're stopping. So like the whole time I was just going, what number are you at now? But I was just like, I was convinced that we were going to stop. So I just was going around like actually pulling faces at people, like having the time of my life. And we ended up getting the best time. So like there's 2 examples of us actually being our best when we genuinely just didn't really care. We were just going there to get it done and enjoy it.
Yeah, and some of my best fesh, either results or some of my best dancing on stage and the dances I remember the most are some of the times when I've been like, you know what, like I'm just going to enjoy it and have fun. Because actually I'm not like maybe where I wanted to be. 1 week out, at the first Scottish Nationals, I was really sick.
Yeah.
I'd been off college or uni all week. I didn't think I'd been to dancing. I don't think I'd slept. And I was just like, let's see how this goes. And ended up doing absolutely amazingly and dancing like a really, really lovely slip jig. Just before I retired, I'd had a big, big bout of injuries. I think I had 3 big injuries pretty much back to back. I was pretty much off for about 10 months. Came back to class. I think I was in shoes for about 3 weeks, 2 weeks. And when you're 26, that is not easy to then get on stage and dance. And was just thought, no idea what this jig's going to be like, but hey ho, let's give it a whirl. And came up and everyone was like, fair play. Like, that was pretty decent. And I was like, ooh, thank you very much. Actually had a great time. So, it's exactly the same. And it was because I had no pressure. I was just like, oh, I'm going to enjoy it. Like, and I actually did genuinely enjoy it.
And that's it. It's difficult to do consciously, but I think it's something that if you start trying to do now in the run up, you'll actually sort of feel that and bring that through to the world as well. So
yeah,
again,
there's a dancer I work with in America. She literally has spent active time trying to put the fun back into dancing and like in the whole process, like enjoy the whole journey. And she did really, really well at her Oireachtas. And it was after the Oireachtas, she was like, I'll let you in on a secret. Like, I actually was planning on at summer. I was like, after Oireachtas, I'm retiring. This is not enjoyable to me anymore. She was like, and now I've never had so much fun in my whole life.
I love that.
She was like, and I'm going to carry on dancing and I'm going to keep going because I'm actually just loving the journey. And she was like, the difference from summer when I was just like, I hate everything about dancing. It's too much pressure. It's too much stress. To actively thinking about how can I make this fun. Has actually stopped her from finishing dancing.
I love that. Fair play to her. That's responsible dancer.
She's brilliant. She's a really good example for so many things, to be fair to her. Hopefully she's listening.
Yes.
Um,
You'll know
but
who
yeah,
she is.
yeah, if she's not, I'll send her the link. But yeah, they're probably my advice.
Very good. Yeah, so I think I don't want to jam pack this too much, but I feel like there's plenty in there for
Yeah,
you
it's quite a long episode, this, for us.
away. I know, I was just looking at the time, like, I need the toilet and I also need to leave for the gym very, very soon because we've rambled and rambled here. But I think there's so much in there that dancers and parents can take away. Yes, in the run up for Worlds, but also in the run up to any sort of major event. But yeah, key takeaways really are take responsibility, make it fun, enjoy it, process all the things, and like actually just track your evidence, build your evidence. That's going to help you on the day. That's going to help that mindset on the big day. And you can be doing all these things from now. Mindset isn't just the big day, it is everything in the build up.
And a judge's opinion is just them on one day.
Yeah.
Don't let it impact how you're going to think about things going forward.
Yeah. Finally, before we go, don't forget the link to the World Sprint is in the show notes. It is £147. You get so many things. You get over £300 worth of bonuses, as well as 12 weeks of the Gold Club. So go check that out. I've also popped down there the link to just the Feis tracker on its own, because I'm aware that some dancers that are listening to this or parents that are listening to this might want access to that Feis tracker. Without the World Sprint. So if you want that Feis tracker print out, then that is linked down below as
It's
well.
probably handy for dancers in their grades and
100%,
prelim and all that as well. Really handy.
for everybody. And once you've got it, you've got it. And then also I've linked that how to deal with disappointing results. So if you need any of that, it is in the show notes. Thank you for listening again. Well done for the All Islands if you did it. Best of luck for Worlds. We are with you on the journey. Make sure you DM us, ask us any questions, and we'll see you on another episode very soon.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Meg Talks. Don't forget to share your favourite parts of the episode and tag us on Instagram at MoveWithMeg with 2 Gs. And as a special treat, head to movewithmeg.co.uk/Feis Day warm-up to access your free video. See you next time.